Hi everyone, it's Joe here from Lawn Solutions Australia and welcome to this episode of TurfTalk where I'm joined by long-time LSA ambassador, friend of the show, Jason Hodges. Jason, how you going?
Hey Joe, g'day everyone, how you going?
So I think it would have been one of our first episodes. We sat down at Buxus Balls of Berry.
Yeah.
You gave us a tour of your farm, your production facility.
Massive facility.
Massive facility. Nice technical terms I've used there. But if you haven't watched it, I'd encourage you to get back and have a look at that episode. But let's circle back. It's been a little while. It's probably been a couple of years since we did that. How's the Buxus farm going? What's going on there? Is it still happening? Still a thing?
It's fantastic. It's the best job that I could think of. And anyone who says money doesn't grow on trees has never grown trees. So I've only got realistically a dozen clients who buy good numbers. Some of the best known landscapers in Australia, Paul Bangay, Miles Baldwin, Dean Harold. And then I supply a few wholesale nurseries and a few plant sources. And then people come in and buy ones and twos. But, my typical order might be 30 plants.
Yep.
So, you've only got to do one of them a month and you're keeping your head above water. So I really enjoy it. I'm surprised how much I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Going from a job on television where you were the centre of attention and there might have been 20 people on set to standing in a paddock with a dog asleep in the ute is very different. Lisa, my partner, is there most of the time with me, but
we all know who does the grunt labour.
Well, we tend to work at separate ends of the property, and I like to be outside of eyesight because I tend to be on the phone a fair bit. Mm-hmm. I might stop and watch the train drive past. Occasional YouTube videos pop up.
I think it's safe to say you're in marketing and business development and Elisa's in production.
That'd be fair to say. Behind every good man, there's a great woman.
That's
and
right.
She's fantastic.
You mentioned before keeping your head above water. That's quite literally what you've done over the last sort of year and a half. It's been pretty wet and berry. The Buxus farm is not what you'd call a high farm. It is flood prone, being next to the creek. How are you going with all the water that's gone through?
Well, when I bought it, they said 1 in 100 years, so I should be sweet for about 396 years.
It's been bad.
It's been so I've owned it for 14 years. It honestly never got completely covered until last March.
Yeah.
So when people said it flooded, I'd roll my eyes and go, no, it didn't. I could see a blade of grass. But last March, it had about 40, 50 centimetres over the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it did a fair bit of damage. And I would have lost maybe $30,000 or $40,000 worth of stock. Mm-hmm. And then we had a flood a couple of Thursdays ago, and mate, all it's done is put nutrients in the soil, and the plants are flushing now, and it looks fantastic. So I knew that when I bought the land, it was really cheap, and rolled the dice, and it's the greatest thing I've ever done. I enjoy it every day. Yeah,
great. And for those that have been through Berry, you'll most likely see the moving Buxus sign, which is Jason's. We call it the doctor's ute because it's not a real farmer's ute. That Land Cruiser, it's a black one, but. It looks good. It's always full of Buxus. Where are you heading mainly? I think you went on a trip up north.
I just delivered to Eagle Farm in Brisbane and Lennox Head next to Byron.
Yeah.
It's funny. I like to see where my plants go.
Yeah.
And so I could have. And my sister lives up that way, so I turned it into a family holiday as well. But I've delivered all over New South Wales and into Victoria. A lot goes by long haulage, but if I can go and see where it goes, it's just nothing to do with finance. It's just to do with the reward of, I like to see finished gardens and, like to meet the people that have paid a lot of money for the end product when it's just like turf. You could lay down seed and you can get something that's green and you call it grass, but they've paid the extra and they've got the premium product, and I want to see where it's going most of the time. So.
Sure.
And I'm a people person, so I like chatting to them. And, the rule with me is if they order 20, I take 24. Mm-hmm. If they order 10, I take 12. And most of the time I sell the 2 when I'm there.
Yeah. So, but you've diversified too recently. It's not just Buxus now. You've bought a palm farm.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about
that. The first palm I dug out, I went home about 9 o'clock at night and I cried and I said to Lisa, you got to be careful what you wish for in this life, because I spent a lot of money to buy 25 acres of existing palm trees. And what I thought would take about 2 hours to dig out took me about 12 hours. I was covered in mud from head to toe. I'd pricked myself about 10 times in my hands with thorns from palm trees. I broke a machine, and I think the labour and the machine cost more than I sold the palm for, and I was like, what have I done? But I've slowly got my head around it, learning some new skills. I've never grown up with machinery like excavators and things like that. And now we could probably get about 4 or 5 palms out a day. And I'm talking palms that, you're lucky if you can get 2 on a semi-trailer.
Yeah.
And they're big money. They're sort of ranging price from about $1,000 to nearly $2,000 a metre in the trunk. So if someone buys a trunk that's 5 metres tall, you're talking about a $10,000 tree.
How old are these trees, though?
They were planted in the 80s and early 90s by a man named Graham who actually started Light and Easy, the food brand.
Yeah.
I know it, I just don't eat it, unfortunately. And he sold Light and Easy for nearly $1 billion. And he lost interest in his palm farm that he'd never made money out of. And I was lucky enough to pick it up. So it's in Torreira, which is... it's like the new berry. That's what I'm telling people.
Allegedly.
It's you get to Nowra and turn left on the way to Greenville Point, and it's a beautiful spot. Like, we've had weddings there. It backs onto a golf course. There's lots of ups to it. Like, if one day suburbia comes that way, it might be worth a little bit of money as a block of land. But
what kind of palm trees are we talking?
There's 4 main ones. So there's 1,800 Canary Island date palms, which are the ones with the great big trunks that, lots of pillows and cushions and things like that will have the motif on it and glasses. And you usually see them in roundabouts and along the boulevard in St Kilda and along the foreshore, Sydney Harbour.
Yep.
There's a lot out at Darling Harbour. And the reason why they're in those places is you can plonk in a 10-metre tree. Mm-hmm. You can't plonk in a 10-metre gum tree. You can't plonk in a 10-metre magnolia or other specimens, but you can move palms relatively easy. So it can make a new development like, say, Homebush back in 2000 and make it look established straight away.
Sure.
So there's 1,800 of them. Mm-hmm. And then there's 3 other varieties. There's Liverstonia australis, Liverstonia chinensis, and Kentia palms. So there's about 600 of each of them. So there's about 3,400 trees over 25 acres.
And have you gotten better at digging them out and putting them on the truck?
I've got much better at digging them out. When I leave here, I'm gonna get 2 ready for today's Tuesday, and they're gonna get picked up on Thursday. So I try and do it a couple of days in advance, just in case something happens with the machine or the weather's inclement or whatever. So they can be cut out, wrapped in plastic, and sit out of the ground for 6 months. Easily.
Okay. Righto.
Yeah. So they're ridiculously hardy and move really well. So.
Yeah.
It's a fun challenge, and I don't love it as much as Buxus. It's a little bit more stressful, just dealing with trucking companies and crane companies and franners and all those sorts of things, which I'd never done before.
Yeah.
It's a bit more like work than the Buxus.
Yep.
So it doesn't sit real well with me.
Yeah. And what's the maintenance involved on keeping a palm tree? Is it once it's in sort of thing, you can let it do its thing? It's just about time? Or
Yeah, so the Kentias are really popular because they self-clean, so that any dead branch will fall off.
Yeah.
And they come from Lord Howe Island, and very prestigious plant to have in your garden. The Canary Island date palms, you probably clean them up once a year. And they have an awful thorn on the palm front. So as majestic as they are, as regal as they are, they're a huge statement. There's a day's work every year to keep them neat and tidy.
Is that where you get Lisa out there for a day a year?
No, Lisa doesn't like the palm farm. It's too far away from home.
So, it's a 15-minute drive for those that are interested. All right, so Buxus and palms is what you're doing now, but you still obviously have a vested interest in the landscape industry, in design, construction, that sort of stuff.
I still do about 20 designs a year, so about one every 2 to 3 weeks.
And what are you seeing design-wise? So if we talk trends, and I don't know if this is something that you talk about a lot, but I guess trends sort of we're in 2025, mid-2025 at the moment. What are you sort of seeing that people are wanting to put in gardens at the moment?
Well, I know this is a podcast about lawns, so it'd be silly not to talk about that, but I genuinely am seeing people embracing a lot of lawn, especially around pools, and which was a no-no sort of in the 90s and the 2000s. You would have all these hard surfaces and very structural landscapes around features like that, and the outdoor room with the barbecue and the big TV and the big entertaining area all undercover. 100%. It ended up being like a smoker's lounge in a pub where it really wasn't a garden. It was just a room that might have had one wall missing. Mm-hmm. I think all those things have been deleted.
Yep.
And I think that people have gone back to really their youth or their childhood, and they've gone, space is really important. The smaller the blocks of lands are getting, then to have a metre strip of lawn around your pool is a little bit of luxury. To have 2 metres around your lawn, it's starting to look grand. And if you can put more around, they are. Mm-hmm. So I think the lawn's winning, even though blocks of land are shrinking. I think we're finding more spaces to put grass in.
Yeah.
A, it's cost effective. And B, it just looks like now that if you look at 50 metres of lawn, you actually go, geez, that's a good big space.
Yeah.
Where 50 metres of lawn 30 years ago would have been a tiny courtyard on the side of your house. Now it's a big backyard.
And the good thing about the innovations in the turf industry is we've got different options. We'll speak to Zoysia grass now. We've got different options for those smaller areas where you wouldn't normally put grass. You've been you reckon you've created it, but we debate that. But you've been a bit of a pioneer in the unmown Zoysia space.
I obviously invented it.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Tell us how you use it and what you're seeing garden trend-wise with that product.
I've embraced it because it's a lazy man's, beautiful sculpture. So when Sir Grange came out, it was such a premium product that everyone was thinking bowling green sort of finishes and the most immaculate lawn you could have. And you can just never mow it and you create these lumps and bumps. And if you give a little bit of food, it's just fluoro green for at least 10 months of the year where I am, and it still looks good the other 2 months. And it's just an area, I put it where you don't want to mow, like if you've got a retaining wall and then a slope, but you don't want to put plants there because it's going to make the place even darker. We drove past a batter for a bridge the other day where they had it, anti-erosion. It's a lot cooler to look at. It's a lot cooler, reflective of the sun than boulders and rocks. And, it suppresses weeds because it's so thick and dense. There's just so many upsides to it. Around the base of trees.
Yeah, this is what I want to point out now, and I've seen you do this before in designs and in the real world. What's your analogy you use for Zoysia grass as opposed to, say, Core-10 steel edging or something like that?
So, say you're putting some trees down your driveway or you're plonking them in the lawn if you've got a rural area and you've got trees. People use Core-10 steel and create a circle of, traditionally it might have been a brick edge or something like that. Well, it's hard to work out the scale. So if you've got a tree that's 4 foot tall and the trunk's this big, you'll do a ring about as big as this table. Well, next year that ring's too small because the tree's already this wide. And in 5 years' time, the tree might be as wide as this room. So you're not going to rip the brickwork up and keep moving it out. Well, I just turf up to the trunk and then just mow to the tree. So if the tree's as wide as this, I mow to the tree. And then you've got nice mowed lawn and a step up. And it just looks like a putting green going to the rough at a golf course.
Yeah.
And, a generation ago, that would have been a lot of landscape work, a lot of hours, and then you probably underplanted it with mondo grass or agapanthus. Both those plants are pretty daggy now. And then the zoysia looks amazing. And then as it starts growing on itself and it gets lumpy and bumpy, it looks even better. So
and you'll just mow.
Just keep mowing the width of the tree so
yep.
then the circle can get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So it's horticulturally it's good because you're not compacting the ground and running over the roots of those trees. Lots of trees, if you hit the roots, they send up suckers. So if you're staying away from that, it's going to be a better tree. And then the grass underneath is going to be fine. And if the tree gets that thick and dense that the grass isn't there, you haven't lost anything either.
Yeah.
Then you can start mulching.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and so Grange Zoysia is an awesome solution for people that A, want to do that, but B, they've just got an area that they're not sure what to do with. They're not sure if they want grass because they don't want to mow it. They don't know what it's going to look like. If you want a bit of inspiration, I'd suggest you jump on the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show website and look at some of the gardens from this year, from the 2025 show. 90% of them probably had Sir Grange Zoysia on them?
Yeah, and probably 3/4 of that, they were all long and shaggy.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, you'd build your garden, and then the requirement from the Carlton Gardens was that you had to protect the grass for 2 metres all around your garden, and you'd use this ugly grey plastic stuff that you put down for concerts, and it was awful. So now I put down long range and let people walk on it for 5 days.
Yeah.
And at the end of the 5 days, it looks 90% as good as day one when it should never been walked on. So I'm talking about 120,000 people coming through that garden show, majority of them looking at my garden. So you'd have half of them walk on that grass. So 60,000 people in 5 days. And at the end of the 5th day, I reckon if you gave it a water and a rake, it'd look as good as the day I laid it.
We actually picked it up, took it home and laid it out here, and it's growing. So it shows you the toughness of this stuff once it's thick and once it's mature. Let's talk about Mifkus for a little bit now. You've obviously been a champion of that show for many, many years now, both in terms of promoting the show, but also in terms of winning at the Melbourne National Flower and Garden Show. And talk us a little bit about your garden this year, because you zigged when others zagged. Everyone else went for the long Sir Grange zoysia. You went for the meat and three veg, as we call it. You went for Buxus and you went for Sir Walter DNA certified buffalo. Tell us a little bit about your garden and what you're looking to achieve with your design this year.
So I live in Berry. Berry's a very boutique little country town that, has got a ton of character. And just like every other country town, we have a new suburb stuck next to it. Our one's called Huntingdale, and you were in there for a while. And you drive around Huntingdale and it doesn't feel like Berry. Like, no disrespect, I've got lots of friends that live in there and the houses are big and beautiful, but it doesn't feel like Berry. And my garden was called Doable because every one of those houses in the new suburb, you might be a snob and cringe at it, in 30 and 40 years' time, they're all going to look different because the garden is the thing that's going to grow and change. So you might plant a boab tree and I might plant a kentia and the boys might plant Buxus balls and strelitzia. You don't drive down a street, say in my old suburb where I grew up, Willoughby, and go, bloody Federation House, another Federation House, Federation House. Geez, this street's boring, it's full of Federation houses. But you walk around a new suburb or drive around a new suburb and you go, oh, they all look the same. Mm. They do, because it's day one. And the only thing that can change is the garden. And so my garden was called Doable, and it was, okay, you lay the lawn, you get the driveway, and that's about what you start with. And if you're smart, you're going to spend the $2-3 more and go from Kikuyu to Sir Walter. Mm-hmm. And if you love your lawn, it's still a fantastic lawn that you can make look amazing. But if you're just mum and dad that's in and out of the house with the kids all the time and you mow it every fortnight, it's still a great lawn. So my garden was doable. I just wanted sort of not the entry level, but the most practical product in every situation. So like the pavers that I used, they're from Adbri. You can buy them off the shelf at Bunnings. My garden was next to a garden where the pavers were $600 a metre. Mine were $45 a metre. So it's 12 times the price, and we got the same award.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show people that it's not so much the price of the materials, it's how you use them. So you buy your new house, you get the lawn, then you sit in your backyard and you see the neighbour's roof, the neighbour's windows, and the neighbour's garage or carport or something like that. And so maybe after a year or so and you're starting to feel comfortable, you might put a hedge in, you're buying plants at $10 each and they've got to grow up. So in a couple of years' time, you got a bit of privacy. Then you might buy a shade tree. You might be able to afford the outdoor patio. Your 10th year wedding anniversary, you might buy your wife a sculpture for $1,000, which is real extravagant, but it gives you a point of interest in the garden. The kids might have grown up and left school and you're not paying school fees anymore, and you go, I've always wanted a water feature, And so your garden goes from a lawn over a generation with a family to having all the elements that you want. They're in all the other expensive gardens, but you're just doing it over time. You can't build a kitchen over 20 years and you can't build an extension or a bathroom over 20 years, but you can build your dream garden over 5, 10, 20 years. Yeah,
and it's a great story and it's a great perspective as well. I think even someone like myself who just has lawn as a garden and doesn't choose to put anything else in it, but you're dead right. The houses don't change. It's the gardens that do change. And I think when people are looking at changing things and innovating, they like to do something different to what they've done before, and they like to incorporate something different. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention when you're talking about how Sir Walter can still be a great product. We talk about Sir Grange and Tiff-Tuff and all these wonderful new grasses all the time. But Sir Walter DNA and softleaf buffalo grasses still look fantastic in a lot of gardens. And your garden this year was a testament to that. And it moves on to that softleaf buffalo world where people are thinking, hey, it's the old grass. We've got to get one of these new ones in. We've actually got a new softleaf buffalo grass coming out called Stampede. And we've sort of used it in bits and pieces around here. And what it shows you is that you can still get a certain look with softleaf buffalo that, people often think they can't achieve. And if you get a chance, your garden, I think it's on the Mifkus website, but it's also on the Lawn Solutions website. You can see, whilst Sir Grange zoysia looks awesome and it's a great choice, softleaf buffalo still look fantastic in certain garden settings, don't they?
And it's how a lot of people will walk on their lawn and never think about it. I just think back to my childhood. We had a buffalo lawn in the backyard. It wasn't soft leaf. It was just an old school buffalo. And, you'd play sport on it, you'd lie on it, you'd be hot and sweaty, and you'd get really itchy because there was a serrated edge to the grass. And then when I started learning more about turf, as much as I love these fine leaf grasses that give you a specific look, for me, for my heart, I really like broadleaf grasses because that's what I grew up with.
It's nostalgia.
Yeah. So doing the same thing today with my kids that I did with a golf club or a BB gun or, whatever, wash the first car or, chase the dog around the backyard, all those things come back to a broadleaf grass for me. So cooch and things were always very hoity-toity and highbrow. Mm-hmm. The only people that had them were retirees that didn't like people walking on their lawn.
Yeah.
All those grasses have been simplified and easy to look after now because of the breeds that we've got. But still, to me, if I was doing a backyard tomorrow for myself, it would be 90% Sir Walter or, on your recommendation, it might be Stampede.
Yeah. No, it's a great point you make there, and I'm glad you kind of kept the softleaf buffalo train running at Mifkus this year because we've got all these wonderful new grasses and they're great, but it's nice to look back and say, hey, this is what we can do. Moving away from Mifkus and just talking about events, some of you may have seen on the socials or if they're driving past down here, but you were part of a landscape and trade day here the other week, and it was at a business called TurfTalk, which is located where we are on the south coast of New South Wales. And you do these all around the country where you go to turf farms and you present to whether it's their trade customers, whether it's local government customers, whether it's just retail customers and coming in and having a look. What do you see at these days and what do you see the importance for particularly, let's talk trade, for example, because you're a tradie, you've bought grass. What's the importance of coming out and having a look at a turf farm and seeing what's going on there?
So I can remember the day when my opinion of turf farms changed like that. And I used to ring up and it was always about price. I was 18 to maybe 25 and I'd get the yellow pages and I'd ring 10 turf farmers in Windsor and go, mate, how much is your ST85? And they'd say $6.20. I go, okay, thanks for that. I'll just speak to the client and I'll call you back. Excuse me, mate, how much is your ST85? Oh, it's $6.10. Okay, mate, I'll just speak to the client and call you back. And I'd just get the lowest price and would not think about quality. Nothing to do with that. It was just make sure it's ST85 because that was the latest and greatest in the mid-90s. And it was just at the lowest price possible. And then one of the guys on the phone said, mate, you ring up every month and ask for the lowest price. Why don't you come out and have a look at the turf farm? And I'll tell you why it's worth paying 30 cents more to buy it from me. So I drove out to Windsor and it was like a one-on-one version of what we did last week with the tradies and with the councils. And he drove me around the farm. He showed me the machines, showed me the different paddocks, showed me why this one was this price and this one was that price. And mate, just fell in love with the whole idea of the industry. My grandfather used to drive out to Windsor on a Sunday on the back of a truck. They used to drive out with these spades that were like, and that's how they used to cut the turf. And they just throw sod, like little pieces on the back of a truck and then deliver it on the Monday morning. And you get paid beer money. So it, just to think back to that was pretty cool. And then to see the machines and now to see the machines that you've got, things that are worth $800,000 that pretty much do everything except comb your hair. They're amazing. And just the quality control, the care that goes into it, all the, it would have only been a generation ago, it was a cow paddock and they kicked the cows off, mowed it a few times and sold it.
Yeah.
And now it's like a factory that the sun generates, and just to see the expertise that goes into it all across the country.
So from a tradie's point of view, they're worth going to, aren't they?
100%. Without a doubt, it's worth taking everyone from the labourer, the apprentice, the accounts manager, just to appreciate what goes into, buying turf for, if you're paying $10, $12, $15 a metre for it, the amount of effort, material, food, water, and then the cost of the machinery that goes into it, it's a cheap result for an amazing product.
So if you don't see one of these days advertised at your local turf farm, just give them a call and ask if you can pop in and have a look around. I'm sure they'll be happy to have you. And not just for tradies and sort of local government, we did a cool little one last week, which we like to do every year. I know you've had a heavy involvement with this association since you went there, is TAFE.
Yeah.
We brought TAFE out here. We brought them to your Buxus farm. We brought them out to Lawn Solutions to show them a bit about our research. What's been your sort of affinity with TAFE over the decades?
I was pretty shit at school. I was pretty good at TAFE.
Yeah. And why do you do it now? What do you see as important for it to do it now?
I just think that if you find your niche, I surprise myself with what I've done.
Yeah.
So give everyone a chance.
Yeah. And it's so cool seeing these 17, 18, 19, even 35. We had a guy in his mid-50s last week going through and doing his hort degree or his sports turf degree or whatever it is. And to show them, I think, the avenues that are available in our industry is really cool. So
it is amazing for how, like, say if you go and study bricklaying, you're a bricklayer.
Yeah.
If you go and study landscape horticulture, you could lay turf every day if you want.
Yeah.
I know people that do that. Yeah. But you could be a irrigation guy. You can be garden lighting. You can be a plants person. You're pretty much a carpenter, a bricklayer, a plumber, you know. So you find your niche. And, you know, I never thought I'd be growing plants for a living.
Yeah.
When I started, I liked the idea of building because Dad was a brickie and I like working in a team environment and all those sorts of things. But, no, I just think if you've been successful or lucky enough to get somewhere and you're not helping the next person up, then it's not really worthwhile. Yeah,
that was really cool the other day, and I could obviously tell by your reaction here. It's a special connection for you, and you actually knew a few of the teachers there.
Yeah, one of the teachers in my class, I copied off you all the time.
Yeah, there you go. And
he's dying down on it for 30 years that I was on TV, and he reckons it's only because of him.
Yeah, but it's cool to show. You know, if you're listening to this and you're a budding TAFE student, you're looking at hort, you're looking at landscape construction, you're looking at sports turf, whatever it is, you've got so much freedom in our industry, and it shows you can be doing a job like I'm doing, you can be doing a job, up in the shed here, you can be doing what you're doing.
I reckon there's countless jobs. Say if you went and became a greenkeeper, so you work at a bowling club or a golf course, and I used to think that wasn't a great future because the best that could happen was you'd be the head groundsman at the golf course or the boss at the greenkeepers or whatever. But if you went out into the commercial world with the skills of a greenkeeper and you're not just a lawn mowing run, you're the next level up. There's that many people with that much coin that love their lawn, but you could be a boutique greenkeeper for houses on the harbour.
Yeah.
And you make a very good living and work in a very nice environment. There's just opportunities. It's just where you put yourself and how much you want to sacrifice to do it.
Yeah.
You know, growing Buxus, I didn't sell one for 5 years. So there's 5 years of toiling and playing and weeding and shaping. And I'm going, I don't know if I'm going to sell any of these. Had a rough idea that I would.
Yeah.
But there's a 5-year investment before I got a return on any money.
Right.
So, you know, you just got to have faith in your ability and your dream, and anything can happen.
You grew them for 5 years, you gave 2 to me and they died.
Yes, it's in my report.
But no, just to wrap up TAFE there, you've done a lot of work with them for a lot of years now. You're taking a Mifkus every year with us, and it's a credit to you because I know it's appreciated in that network. And we see them come through in our industry, which is really cool.
It's easy to be nice to the bosses because you're going to get a quick sale and you know, I'll be nice to that guy, he owns this company or whatever. But they're the next generation.
Yep.
You know? Give them 5 minutes of your time and who knows, one day you might be working for them.
Now, if TAFE made you emotional, this next subject's going to bring you to absolute tears. The Bears are back.
How good.
So for those that are from Victoria or South Australia and they're listening to this,
you're Bears supporters
now. You're not quite sure about rugby league. The North Sydney Bears are an institution in rugby league. They've been out of the league for a lot of years now. Jason, I've seen photos of you. I've seen your old jersey. You're a ball boy for the North Sydney Bears in the 90s.
You know, it's a funny thing, right? So ball boys, I don't know if there's ball boys in AFL. I'm sure there's someone that throws the ball back in. But there's a ball boy and a sand boy. And the amount of people that have done it over the years that have gone on to do amazing things. Like Mark Webber.
Yep.
He was the Canberra ball boy at the same time.
Formula One driver. Yeah.
There's a guy named, his surname's Penn. He was the Manly ball boy. He now owns Manly.
Yep.
Victor Hovland, the golfer, came third in the US Masters. His caddy, Shay Knight, was the ball boy after me. So he's really just a ball boy at golf.
Yeah.
But there's about another dozen that have gone on to do really big things. They were talking about it on the radio the other day. But the other ones were like, you know, international stars of whatever they were doing. So I reckon it was an awesome upbringing because you're hanging around with Mark Graham, like he's a golden boot, or, you know, and you're just calling him Mark and he's calling me Spotty, you know, treating me like I'm part of the gang when you're 10 years old.
Yeah. I
remember sitting down with Olsen Filipina for lunch in Canberra. Canberra just coming to the comp and we've sat down, me and the other two ball boys, and all the other tables were finished, and Olsen Filipino goes, "Can I sit here, boys?" And I went, "Yep." And he was the guy who used to kick the goals, just take 2 steps. And he was about 120 kilos, 5'8", and he sat there and he's covered in tattoos, and he told us about all the things we shouldn't do in life. He scared the hell out of me, and I never did any of them.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. So you're like a little rock star at school, because you go to school and everyone had seen you on the TV on the Sunday night when the TV was on. I used to never do my homework, but on the Friday I'd say to the teacher, "I'll wave to you." And so the scrum would pack down, and you'd just stand behind the scrum and you'd wave towards the grandstand. And then you'd go to school on the Monday and the teacher would go, "I saw you wave."
Yeah.
Then the next teacher would say, "I saw you wave."
Yeah.
I haven't done my homework. We won, I went out.
Jason got an A. Doesn't make any sense.
But no, the Bears, very special. My old man's 90, so they're back in the comp in 27. I really hope that I can take him to a game. And they've been gone for 26 years, so I reckon it should be a Netflix special about the comeback.
Yeah.
I'm 52. They've been out of the game as long as they've been in the game in my life.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. I'm really excited.
New Buxus Balls of Perth franchise.
Go the Bears.
It's exciting for the Bears. It's exciting for people like yourself that have been diehards for many, many decades now. And apologies to our Southern Australian viewers who have absolutely no idea what we're talking about.
Well, I reckon most of them would know North Sydney Oval.
They would.
It's an icon. Yeah. And I grew up at a school across the road at Morris Brothers at North Sydney. And I reckon one of the reasons I became a landscaper is because when I was in high school, the local mayor, his name was Ted Mack, and he turned that from a dust bowl with one tiny little grandstand into the boutique oval that it is now.
Yeah.
Moved the bob stand from the SCG and got a couple of other old grandstands. And made, the place looks like it's been there for 120 years. It's about 20 years old, 30 years old. And so when I saw them go from the cricket pitch in the middle with a crap lawn that was all winter grass to beautiful lawn and a drop-in, drop-out pitch, which was the first one ever done in Australia by Strathair. Honestly, it was one of the reasons that would have pushed me towards being a landscaper rather than a builder. Yeah.
No, it's a great story, and it's so cool to see him back. And I guess I have to get a jersey. Everyone's number 2 team, that's what they say, isn't it?
Yeah, it's because we never beat anyone, so everyone felt sorry for us. If we touched you up, you wouldn't go for it.
Thanks for jumping on again, Jason. And we always have a nice little takeaway when people come and talk on this podcast. And yours were go to TAFE and become a ball kid, and you can do anything in life. I think it's all we can pretty much get from
You'll
that.
see all these 50-year-old people trying to be the ball boy for the local footy team.
With the TAFE badge on. It'd be funny.
Look, I appreciate your support, and Lawn Solutions, just like all the other things I mentioned, it's changed my life as well. It's made me do a better job because I'm using a better product. But, I've been overseas a couple of times with you guys, and I've learned so much. And special mention to Earl's Turf that got flooded the other day. Great bunch of people that doing a bit tough at the moment. But as a whole, really felt like part of the family.
Yep.
Can't afford the land to buy turf farm, so I had to start off small with Buxus, but I'll get there one day.
Yeah, keep selling palms. You're the biggest turf farm in Australia. But thanks for jumping on, Jason. I'm sure people appreciate the catch-up and good to see what you've been doing.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks.
For having me.
Cheers.